Hi, and welcome to the presentation for Dynamics for Finance and Operations that will cover the topic of stock adjustments. It will effectively cover UAT test script INV 6. The purpose of the session will be to show you how to amend stock in inventory to either increase or decrease the quantity at each of the branches. This does not cover purchasing of stock. That is covered in the purchasing presentation. So in order to do a stock adjustment, we use a function within Dynamics called stock adjustment journal. This can be found by clicking on the menu bar, scrolling down to the inventory management module, and then if we select that, underneath journal entries, we have a group of functions called items. So if we open up items, we can see that we have a number of journals. This session is covering the inventory adjustment. And so if we click on inventory adjustment, the function will fire up the inventory journal. So to create a new journal, we simply click on new on the toolbar. It's important to remember that an inventory journal is made up of header and line records. What this means is that for a single journal, we can enter multiple lines for different branches and different products. So we don't have to create multiple journals if we're doing multiple adjustments. If we're adjusting 10 products across 10 branches, we only need to create the one inventory journal. So the mandatory fields we need to enter are the type of journal, the name. So this is effectively an adjustment. And then we can amend the description. It's important probably to leave the name of the journal so that when you're carrying out an audit or looking through stock movements, you can see that this was an adjustment journal. So what we'll do here is just add a bit to say this is an MBA test. What was the reason for it? We have the option of entering site and warehouse, should it just be for a single site and branch, or we can just simply click OK. What that's done is generated the header, and now I have the option to enter the lines. So I can click on new, but just before I do, you'll note on my screen the site and the warehouse are displayed. If they're not displayed on your screen, you need to switch them on, and that's done by going into display dimensions, clicking on site and warehouse, save setup, and click OK. And if you do that, you'll find that you have the option to enter the site and warehouse. If you save those options, you only have to do this once. So we'll go ahead and we'll create a new journal line. So we have a date. I need to pick out a product code. It's important to note in Dynamics, there is a number of ways of entering the product code. I can simply start keying it. So I've typed DGL, so it's going to find all the DGLs. Or I could start keying the name, and it would find it, the search name. Once you're actually searching and you've got the browser in place like we have at the moment, you can just pick out a product. So I'll pick out a DGL01. Or when we're in the drop down, we have the option, of course, of clicking on any of the menu bars, or any of the columns, and saying that I'm looking for everything that begins with small. Again, here we can determine whether we're looking for an exact match, contains, begins, or whatever. So I'm looking for everything that begins small. I can apply that, and it's found two products that we can apply, that we can select. So I'll go ahead and I'll pick out that one. I need to enter the site, of which there's only one, and I need to enter the warehouse. To save typing, if you simply enter the warehouse before the site, so in this case we're going to do an adjustment in Sydney, then it automatically populates the site, so it's up to you. We need to enter a quantity, so we're going to adjust the stock by 150, and a cost if this is to be reflected within the ledgers. So we'll assume that each of these products is $10, so the cost is $150. It's important to establish that if you enter a negative quantity, minus quantity, then the stock will be reduced. So we can save our journal. Within Dynamics, this journal has been saved but not actioned. Therefore, the stock has not yet been adjusted. You will find that only when you successfully post the journal that the stock is adjusted. So on the toolbar, we have the post button. So I can click on post. I can click on OK. And get an error. Done deliberately. Why? Firstly, I wanted to show you an error condition. So if we look at it and look at the details, oh dear, I'm missing a financial dimension for this particular line. What that means is that for financial reporting, we need to declare which branch on a financial dimension that this journal line is for. So if we just scroll down, we'll see a financial dimension section, and we must enter the branch. So in this case, it was for Sydney. That will now be reflected when we do the financial reporting. So we must enter a branch for each of the journal lines. So just to prove it, we'll now save that, and we'll just create perhaps another line. So we're also going to do an adjustment of another product. So let's say the commercial building, but we're going to adjust the quantity here in, say, orange, and we're going to increase that by, let's say, 50. And we'll give it a cost price. So we'll say that each of these are worth $20. So that there's a cost price of 100. And again, we can save. And if you recall, we must enter the financial dimension for the new line that we've just entered. So we go to financial dimensions, we scroll down, and we determine the branch. In this case, it was for orange. I can save it. And again, if I post it now, we should not have any errors. So we click OK, it processes, and you'll note that we have a blue bar, which is nice and friendly, don't panic, rather than a red bar. And that has basically said that the journal has been posted. The stock has now been updated. This concludes the inventory adjustment presentation.